knows the tale of the War of the Ring. But 200 years before that,
Riders of the Mark! Brothers of Rohan!
there was an older tale.
Arise!
We come with an offer to strengthen Rohan.
Héra, daughter of Helm, I, Wulf, seek your hand in marriage.
Our fathers speak as if I were not even in the room.
I do not want to marry you.
You do not seek an alliance. You seek a throne. You will live to regret this, old man. He's dead. You will pay for this with your life.
The boy I knew would never wish for war.
The boy you knew is gone.
Fire!
There's so many of them. I pledged to fight for my king.
You know nothing of war.
I'm the fastest rider you have.
People need hope, Héra. Something to believe in.
My pride, my joy. You could rule the world. You think I am afraid of you?
You should be.
What does Mordor want with rings?
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the NRW, where nerds rule the world. My name is Heather Hurt, and I've officially tried to record this same review like 14 times. I'm here with Kuya P. I'm here with Kuya P to talk about one of the most anticipated films for me this year, in which I will give Kuya P a lot of flack throughout this review for, The Lord of the Rings, The War of the Rohirrim. To preface, we do love talking about movies ahead of time because we're lucky like that. But we are going to try and keep this review as spoiler free as possible. As of this recording, the movie has not come out yet. And by the time this recording has come out, it might have been a couple of days at most. So we're going to try and keep this spoiler free, but we might touch some things in because a lot of this is associated to stories from the appendices. They're not direct. If you're a fan, you should know this, but in reality, a lot of this is kind of lore. It's all lore of a well-known universe. But once again, try and keep it as spoiler-free as possible. All right, Kuya P, let's get started on this, right?
Let's go. I'm excited. I've been waiting to talk about this with you.
Yeah, he decided to steal the press conference, the press screenings, and all this stuff from the one who actually loves Lord of the Rings. I'm the one that likes Tolkien. I'm just gonna say it.
She was away, y'all. As y'all know, she was on travel. Come on now.
So we start 200 years prior to the current universe. So I guess I should have started this way. This movie is Lord of the Rings, the film series canon. So it is Hobbit canon, it is Lord of the Rings canon, Peter Jackson universe canon. It is an animated film, and we'll get into who the director is, but it is an animated film that is canon. So you're going to hear a lot of the same music, a lot of the same costume designs, a lot of the same worlds. And we even come in on a shot from the original series, introducing live action into animation. The film, once again, going back to where I started, the film takes place about 200 years before the War of the Ring. And we are following the princess, Héra. I'm bad at green screen. The princess Héra, who is the current only child of King Helm. I'm doing it right. King Helm of Rohan. There is, as with any kingdom, there is some underlying drama, because what is a king without drama? Thank you, Shakespeare, for always giving us that. And immediately, Héra receives a proposal. This is in the trailers, don't get mad. she receives a proposal from one of the lords of one of the lands of Rohan. That doesn't go too well with her papa. He says no. It's a big mad no. Big mad no. And that leads to to a large war that kind of creates a division amongst some of the peoples of Rohan. With that, Héra has to pick up a shield and take up a long storied history. Well, not so long at this point. A storied history of Rohan, of women fighting in Rohan, because Rohan, the Rohirrim, the warriors of the March, are great warriors. They're great soldiers, and everyone, even children, know how to wield swords in their world. All right, kind of wordy, kind of a lot. But that, for the most part, is this story. It is the war. It is the family. It is all of the drama with a little bit of real fun lore and connectivity to the movies within it. So with that, let's talk cast and crew real super quick. As we said, this is an animated movie. I mean, look behind me, look behind Kuya P. It's animated. It is actually a Japanese animation team did this, and it was directed by Kinji Kamiyama. And it's beautiful. It's mastery. We'll get to it. Writing credits are Jeffrey Addis, Will Matthews, Phoebe Gittins, and Artie. That's a long. That is the screenplay. That is a long New Zealander name. I'm not going to. You know who you are. In the cast, let's get to the main cast. Brian Cox plays King Helm. Gaia Wise plays Héra. Miranda Otto, this was a big one for me. The moment, if you are a Lord of the Rings fan, you are going to hear her voice and you're going to immediately know that is Éowyn. She is back. She is telling the story of the Shield Maidens that came before her. Miranda Otto is back as the narrator, who is Éowyn. Luca Pasqualino, who plays Wulf. Lorraine Ashbourne, who plays Alwyn. Sean Dooley, who plays Freka. And I think for the most part, Benjamin Wainwright, who plays Heleth. That's most of the main cast, but remember, it takes literally a small kingdom like that of Rohan to make one of these types of movies, and that includes an animation. Honestly, animation teams can be much bigger than real life action teams. You think that only a couple people are drawing these? Nah, big nod. It takes the whole damn continent at times for some of these movies to come out. So with that, we talked about the film. We talked about the people. We are so excited to finally get into the review. Kuya P, who does have a short online, so definitely check it out from his initial comments. But for reference, sir, what were your thoughts?
I was so ready for this. When the live action ones that we got from Peter Jackson came out way back when, I was so excited to see it, and it reminded me of these animated rotoscope films of my childhood that I would watch in school because, there was a time period when they didn't want to teach us, or the regular teachers was out. So we had the substitute that would roll in this projection TV into the classroom, and he would put on a movie. And at most times, or at least at the schools that I was at, we would get the animated The Lord of the Rings movies that were just the best. Amazing animation. Rotoscope, where if you aren't familiar with rotoscoping, is where they would film it with live actors and then animate over those film pieces. And it just was super cool. But also at that age, and we didn't have like the CGI Pixar stuff that we have now, that stuff was also kind of scary. And even though I grew up on Nightmare on Elm Street and would watch all these crazy movies at that time, much like Heather, she was checking this stuff out as a young kid. It was different times, people. It was different times. I loved it, and but I also was super scary, especially what were the characters, Heather? You know the lore better than I do. The ones that were like just black robes on horses, and they were chasing after the hobbits. Those used to scare the F out of me when those characters come up on screen.
Nazgul.
Yeah, what she said. What Heather said.
G-U-L. Wow. A Nazgul.
Nazguls.
Yes, the humans who took the rings.
Okay. And even freaking Gollum
when he bit off the
Gollum. Oh my gosh. Just it was so good. It was just great animation and scary, but that's what the Peter Jackson stuff reminded me because I didn't read the books or the novels or anything like that. I started read a little bit later on, but not I never finished it. But it just brought back that great memory of this great animation that to me it was all about the animated Lord of the Rings rotoscope stuff. Fast forward, we get the great Lord of the Rings live action films, and then we have the Rings of Power series that are on Prime Video as well. So when this was announced, I was like super excited, and just seeing the trailers, it was my bag. And yeah, so seeing it all in, got to see it. Heather was on vacation again. I'm sorry, Heather. Got to enjoy it, and yeah, I just love everything about this. If you love anime, I'm not the biggest anime head because again, I'm not that kind of Asian because I try to defy stereotypes. I just was all about this. Just the amazing amount of detail that these new animators can do. The way they move the camera, it just puts you into that combat. You feel it. You're in there. And the fact also, I'm a father of an amazing young woman. That the focus as well is on this young shield maiden in Héra. I just love this film, and I think you'll enjoy it too. And I was just knowing that my pal Heather is just the biggest LOTR fan. I was excited for her to see this because of all of those components. I just think this was done really well. It had all the lore that I'm familiar with highlighted. It also, just relatable places that we're fans of to see Helm's Deep and just where certain things will start. It just is amazing, and I need more of this film. I said it on the radio as well. I recorded this as one of my picks as of this recording for 103.5 WTOP FM radio here in the DC area. LOTR fans, rejoice. This is awesome, and we need more of it. So those are my thoughts, Heather. I know that's a lot.
No, I word vomited for the first 10 minutes of this video. So to be fair, and for those of you who don't really recognize the conversation that but they know the movies. QP is talking about the Bakshi film of 1978.
Thank you.
And he was talking. He talked about during our weekly and this that he was scared. My dad was so much of a nerd. I was watching this shit on his knee at like 3. So like this didn't. Lord of the Rings has been my jam since I was this small. Like it's in my I always say Tolkien and Star Trek are in my blood. I'm literally not allowed to not like them. It's like a legal requirement to be part of my family. But to say that I know that there are, and I want to talk about the hate for a second. And a lot of it goes to Rings of Power. So much of what a universe is in development, it is creation, it is adaptation, and it is what you can adapt. One of the wonderful things that you can do with animation is you can make it more dynamic. You can make it more worldly. You can do things that you can't do in live action. It's honestly one of the reasons that I was always really nervous about the DC universe. I'm a DC girl at heart, and I was really nervous because it is more fantastical than Marvel is in many, many, many aspects, and it made me very nervous to see live action. And honestly, I can still say that DC is better animated than it is live action. Thus far, Gunn, let's see what you can do, sir. But with that being said, there is a lot of hate. There is a lot of takeaway from things like from people who are looking at Hobbit, which was not a great film. I mean, Peter Jackson really shit the bed on that one. I'm sorry. I love The Hobbit, but the films, you don't need a love story. You don't fucking need a love story in all these fucking movies. But when it came to the Lord of the Rings, there was an expectation, and people really liked it. They were even okay with the story being adjusted, being changed, because people understood that it was an adaptation. For some reason, we hit Rings of Power and we see a woman as the lead, and all of a sudden all hell breaks loose. It can never happen, even though they actually use quite a bit of the appendices to make these shows. And it goes the same with this. This is not a in-canon traditional story that you are looking for. Most people do not sit and read through the appendices, the huge amount of appendices. They do not read the Sill. They do not read the Lost Tales. They don't read any of these other books. They are reading the main trilogy. They are reading The Hobbit, and that's kind of it. And that's okay. So what these are we have these additional stories, these wonderful adaptations of how people see their versions of what they are reading. So is this a perfect Lord of the Rings story? No. is this something that I truly, as a Lord of the Rings, as a Tolkien fan, as someone who really, really loves and appreciates the fact that I am lucky enough to live in a time where I am getting almost unending content in the Tolkien universes? I loved this movie. I am a big anime fan. I am really excited that we are seeing more of this adaptation of culture. And I'm not saying appropriation, because we are letting teams do it. We are letting Japanese teams do their traditional artwork styles and bringing it into the US. So we're seeing these wonderfully beautiful adaptations. This is a gorgeous film. And there is a lot of Bakshi film aspects to it. There's like this weird mix at times. And when I say weird, it's weird in a good way. You see this wonderful not panoramic, this microscopic view, or what is it called when you see it bigger? It's not microscopic, it's
Yeah.
magnified. There we go. That's the word I'm thinking of. This magnified view, but through a magnified lens. So it's kind of rounded, which is really cool. But you see these elements of like real drapes, of this real background. I'm not gonna say where it is, because that would give away a lot of this movie. And then you see Héra just kind of hanging out at the window, which is really, really cool. And it really reminded me of my childhood, and it made me feel like that other fans were creating this film. We're creating a story in which another fan could watch. And we have to remember two things when you go into this film. One, you can tell that there is fandom that was driven in this, but two, it might not be what you believe is a true adaptation. It doesn't have to be. That's not what this is about. This story is a great one and done. Let's tell this story. Let's get this out. Let's explain the history of how Helm's Deep got its name. Let's explain the history of some of the damage that we see in the films 200 years later. So it's really, really a fun story. It's a loving story. It's a family story. And honestly, I think one of the great things about this film is it captures the heart and soul of Rohan. It takes the pride, it takes the passion, it takes who these soldiers, who these peoples are. They are proud to be the citizens of Rohan. Helm is proud to be a king of Rohan. He does not want to give up his throne. It's not because he's a selfish dickhead, even though he can be. He wants to do it because he truly loves his country and his people. But at the same time, what you see is the other side is you see they want their own pride to stay there. So I know this is getting kind of wordy, but my opinion is this movie really gave what a lot of Lord of the Rings fans should be looking for, a movie that truly demonstrates Rohan. They gave us that in this film.
I feel that.
But all right, but there should always be. We are critics. So I'm going to go on a little bit longer because we need to talk about other things like the music. Badass music. Yes, you are going to hear the same songs, the same tones, everything you heard in the original series. Mwah, chef's kiss, beautiful. But I need to take my biases aside, and I want to talk about some of the things that are critically not so wonderful. And I know Kuya P has a couple comments because he made some to me the other day. So if you don't mind, I'm going to start this round though. One of the things, Kuya P did mention that it did lag a little bit. He's like, just ahead, did lag a little bit. But what actually got me was the slightly anticlimactic ending. It kind of just ends. There's this great buildup. There's this great story. Yes, it does lag at times, but then it just kind of stops. The ending it's really, really short, and then it just kind of stops.
I have to say, I'm sorry, I don't want to real quick interjection, but I feel that has been, or at least my experiences with LOTR. It's this journey, and you know, because they're like snapshots, even with the films, even though it's a 3-hour journey, but then we stop because we know there's the next batch. It just feels like the lore, personally.
And that could be the case. That's definitely, you definitely have
a good and bad thing.
No, and that's the thing is, it's not necessarily a bad thing. It's in some ways the anticlimaticism of it is on par with her with how Héra lived her life. Like she kind of just got it done. Like she's like, I'm over with this shit. So I'm like, in some ways it's on point, but in other ways, I was reading another critic's reviews because that's something we need to do, especially when we're trying to ground ourselves in the fact that we should not be biased. We should have multiple points of view. One of the things someone pointed out is it's like, you never got to see her really live up to her full potential because it kind of just stops her. She kind of just stops. And the movie kind of moves forward and you're like, okay, I can kind of get that. And what really got me wasn't just the fact that the story kind of came to a head. It's almost like they wanted to speed up the story so much so that they could give us a couple of really cool, don't get me wrong, really cool Easter eggs at the end. But it's like, did we really need that? Did we? Did we need to rush through the last 15 minutes so you could give us 5 minutes of some random connections to the main universe? Kuya P, I'll give it up to you. Those are my literally only complaints about this film. Everything else is beautiful, the music is great, and the art is wonderful. So go ahead.
I don't disagree with you, and yeah, it's slight, but to me, it also is in canon. It's just how, or at least my taking of the lore and feel of it. It has that, but which could also be to its detriment, as well. And yeah, we it's like we allow it because it's the Lord of the Rings. There's certain things with certain properties, we know it's bad in this thing, and we'll say it in like some other thing. But if it's in this, I'll let it go. Let it go because it's Lord of the Rings.
That's the thing. It's about the adventure. It's about the 3-year walk. It's not about the.
It's kind of like the Sony Marvel films, to be honest. As of this recording and this week's releases, if you check out our weekly show, this is dropping along with Kraven the Hunter. That film is not Kraven the Hunter. It's cosplaying as Kraven the Hunter. But it was actually an entertaining film. I was ready to hate it because, again, it's not Kraven the Hunter. It's looked like it, but it's not. But I will allow it. And I gave it its recommendation because I actually enjoyed the film. It's cheesy, it's corny, but it was entertaining. So I love this film. I think it's great. Like you, Heather, it has its little pieces, but we will allow it. But I need more of this, as I was saying, and like you said, this is kind of it opens and closes on its own where it's at. There's not really where to go, I guess, unless you can think of some other ideas. You know the lore better than I. It pulled from certain appendices. I would love for them to find other moments within the vast J.R.R. Tolkien experience and give us that story. Put this same team on it because I love what they did with this. Let Kenji Kamiyama do his thing and just give us that. I just need more of this animated LOTR.
Okay. I can agree. I love Lord of the Rings and animation. I'm totally here for that. Hell, give us the Sill. And yes, I know there are copyright issues. I know that there are royalty issues. I know that. I know the Tolkien family has their rights, but the Sill is my favorite book. And so I would love to see, and honestly, I think it's the only way that you can do it. And actually, my idea for the Sill is you should do it a la Fantasia and put like these beautiful, like not even necessarily spoken shorts, just these beautiful music next to these wonderful animated shorts. Like, give us that with the Sill. All right. Anyway, I'm done on my high horse. I want to say one thing. I'm going to put one small spoiler, sort of, just kind of to alleviate some concerns about one character's voice. But I'm going to do that after we say peace out because if you want to, you can cut off. So with that being said, like, subscribe, share all of this stuff on here. If you didn't like this movie, if you loved this movie, if you're curious but don't want to really get into it too much to spoil it for spoilers, make comments below. Let's have a conversation. What would you like to see? What other stories from Tolkien's universe would you like to see? So like, subscribe, share. Lord of the Rings, The War of the Rohirrim hits theaters on December 13th. Tickets are available now. Definitely check it out. Okay, I'm gonna give everyone like 30 more, or not 30 more seconds, like 3 more seconds, and then we're gonna talk about one more thing. So 3, 2, 1. Okay, all right, let's talk about Saruman real quick. All right, so a slight spoiler, he does show up at the end. It is only for a whole like 2.5 seconds, but we do hear the great Sir Christopher Lee's voice. I wish he could be here today. I wish he could have been the one to say those words. But one thing that was really nervous to me, and Kuya P and I have both talked about this about other things, AI should not be used in film. We don't need it. We don't fucking need it. Don't you let someone else narrate. Do anything else. We do not want to hear AI. So If you have already seen this, or if you're okay knowing that Saruman has literally a very itty bitty cameo at the end, Christopher Lee's voice is used, but it is archival data. It is archival recordings. Nothing, no AI is used. So if you are any way concerned about AI being used, you are okay. They only used archival data. So sorry for the mini spoiler, but I know that I was really nervous about that because Christopher Lee deserves better. That man is a war hero. He spoke like 45 languages. He made a goddamn Christmas rock album like when he was 90. Come on. So don't worry about it. It's not AI. It is only archival data. So anyway, like, subscribe, share, watch War of the Rohirrim.
What's up, y'all? Your boy QP, Nerds Rule the World. I screened this at home. Got the early screening, y'all. It drops on Christmas, and initial thoughts as I do. Y'all tune into these on the NRW. I loved it. It's fire. I grew up on the animated Rotoscope series as a kid. Used to watch it in school. Used to give me nightmares, and really love that. And then when Peter Jackson brought those live action films to life, love those as well. And so yeah, man, I love the Lord of the Rings series, and now that we're getting this prequel in Lord of the Rings War of Rohirrim, I'm probably missing that up, you're gonna love it. Dropping Christmas, fire, catch it in theaters, and then I believe it'll be coming to streaming very soon after that. But it's so good. You're gonna love it. Get your Shield Maiden on. Just so good, y'all. Those are my thoughts. I can't give you any more. Review coming soon. Your boy QP, Nerds Rule the World.